Hello, welcome to Lives channel. Today we will learn about the explosive upcoming week of October 27th to 31st that promises to deliver intense emotional confrontations and devastating revelations that will shake the Kiriakis family to its core. The drama-packed week kicks off with an unprecedented therapeutic intervention as Brady Black takes a desperate and emotionally shattered Sarah Horton Kiriakis to an unconventional rage room facility. This specialized venue becomes the setting for Sarah's complete emotional breakdown, where Brady carefully guides her through the therapeutic process of physical destruction as a means of releasing the overwhelming fury and betrayal consuming her from within. The rage room experience represents more than just smashing objects. It symbolizes Sarah's attempt to break free from the toxic cycle of lies and deception that has defined her turbulent marriage to Xander Kiriakis. Brady's compassionate gesture demonstrates his deep understanding of Sarah's psychological trauma and his genuine desire to help her process the devastating truth about her husband's violent actions. Sarah's explosive rage stems directly from the horrifying revelation that Xander was actually the one who nearly murdered Philip Kiriakis in a brutal attack that could have ended fatally. The beautiful doctor finds herself in an impossible position, torn between the love she once felt for her husband and the undeniable reality that he is capable of extreme violence against his own family members. This isn't merely a one-time mistake or momentary lapse in judgment. It represents a pattern of dangerous behavior that Sarah can no longer ignore or rationalize away. The rage room becomes her sanctuary of destruction, where she can safely channel all the anger, disappointment, and profound sense of betrayal that threatens to consume her completely. Every object she shatters represents another broken promise, another shattered dream of the peaceful family life she desperately wanted with Xander and their daughter Victoria. Meanwhile, the tension escalates to dangerous levels when Xander finds himself engaged in a heated confrontation with his mother-in-law Maggie Kiriakis, creating a battle of wills that could determine the fate of multiple Kiriakis family members. Maggie, driven by maternal protective instincts and moral outrage, makes an absolutely clear and uncompromising threat to Xander. She will use every resource at her disposal, every connection she has built over decades in Salem, and every ounce of her considerable influence to ensure that Xander faces criminal prosecution for his vicious attack on Philip. Her determination to see justice served reflects her deep disappointment in the man she once welcomed into her family and trusted with her daughter's happiness and safety. Maggie feels personally responsible for exposing Xander's deception before Sarah became even more deeply entangled in his web of lies and violence. However, Xander refuses to be intimidated or cornered without a fight, and he immediately fires back with his own devastating counter-threat that forces Maggie to confront an uncomfortable truth about the situation. With calculated precision and cold determination, Xander warns Maggie that if she follows through on her threat to send him to prison, Philip will inevitably be arrested and prosecuted right alongside him for his own criminal actions. This creates an impossible moral dilemma for Maggie. Can she sacrifice one grandson to punish another? The situation reveals the complex web of guilt and complicity that binds both brothers together in this scandal. Philip's own deception and involvement in various schemes mean that any thorough police investigation into Xander's actions would inevitably uncover Philip's crimes as well, creating a domino effect of legal consequences that would devastate the entire Kiriakis family. The criminal entanglement between Xander and Philip creates a Mexican standoff situation where neither side can make a move without triggering catastrophic consequences for everyone involved. If Maggie reports Xander's violent attack to the authorities, a comprehensive investigation would expose Philip's elaborate lies about the identity of his attacker, his fraudulent business dealings, and potentially even more serious criminal activities that have yet to be fully revealed. Philip's deceptive behavior, particularly his deliberate misidentification of his attacker, makes him an accessory after the fact and potentially guilty of obstruction of justice. This means that any legal action against Xander would inevitably drag Philip into the criminal justice system as well, potentially resulting in prison time for both brothers and leaving the Kiriakis family empire in complete chaos. The situation forces Maggie into an agonizing position where she must choose between her moral obligation to support Sarah and see justice served, versus her desire to protect Philip from the legal consequences of his own poor decisions. This impossible choice tests the very foundation of her values and her role as the matriarch of the Kiriakis family. Every option before her leads to devastating consequences. Either she allows Xander to escape accountability for his violent actions, or she triggers a cascade of legal problems that could destroy both of her grandsons' futures. The weight of this decision threatens to tear her apart as she struggles to balance justice, family loyalty, and the protection of those she loves most. The central question haunting everyone involved remains deeply uncertain and fraught with emotional complexity. Will Sarah and Maggie ultimately decide to leave Xander alone despite the severity of his crimes? Sarah has already made the decisive move to file for divorce once again, declaring with finality that she is completely done with Xander and the constant danger his violent tendencies bring into her life and their daughter's life. Her decision represents more than just ending a marriage. It's about protecting herself and Victoria from a man who has repeatedly proven he cannot control his destructive impulses. However, the question of whether she and Maggie will pursue criminal charges remains agonizingly unresolved, with the threat of Philip's prosecution hanging over every decision like a dark cloud. Adding another layer of complexity to this already volatile situation, Sarah directly confronts Philip about his bewildering decision to lie about his attacker's identity, demanding answers about why he would protect the very man who nearly killed him. Philip's motivations for covering up Xander's attack remain murky, but his attempts to encourage Sarah to forgive Xander fall on completely deaf ears. Sarah has reached her breaking point and moved past forgiveness, recognizing that Xander's capacity for violence makes him fundamentally dangerous to everyone around him. The revelation has shattered any remaining trust or hope she had for their relationship, and no amount of pleading from Philip or anyone else can change her resolute determination to permanently end her marriage to Xander and move forward with her life. This explosive week of October 27th to 31st promises to deliver heart-wrenching emotional confrontations, impossible moral dilemmas, and potentially life-altering decisions that will reshape the Kiriakis family dynamics for months or even years to come. The rage room scenes will showcase Sarah's raw emotional devastation, while the confrontations between Xander and Maggie will highlight the impossible choices facing a family torn apart by violence, lies, and competing loyalties. Days of Our Lives fans should prepare themselves for an unforgettable week of drama that will leave lasting consequences for everyone involved in this tragic situation. Next, Friday, October 23, 2025. Amy's determination destroys a marriage, and Sarah says goodbye forever. Salem may be dressed in the bright colors and flickering lights of Halloween, but under the cheerful decorations, hearts are breaking and tempers are flaring. What begins as a light-hearted autumn day ends in tears, with one woman declaring that her marriage is truly, and finally, over. A stroll through Salem turns bittersweet. The day begins with Leo and Javi, who are doing their best to bring a little joy to the town square. They're pushing baby Tesoro's stroller through the plaza, which has been transformed into a Halloween wonderland. There are pumpkin garlands hanging from every lamppost, paper bats fluttering in the wind, and even a few costumed children running about. It's the kind of day that reminds everyone in Salem that even in dark times, a touch of fun and laughter still has a place. Leo, never one to pass up an opportunity to charm a crowd, jokes about the scary jack-o'-lanterns, most of which are clearly fake. But Javi is in a more thoughtful mood. He explains to Leo that Halloween, or Dia de las Brujas as it's called in Spanish, is more than just costumes and candy. It's a day that honors the thin line between the living and the dead, when spirits are remembered and stories of family are passed down. For Javi, it's a reminder that even though the people we love may leave us, their presence lingers in the lessons they taught us and the love they left behind. For a brief moment, the mood feels peaceful. Two friends sharing laughter and history while little Tesoro coos softly in his stroller. But in Salem, peace rarely lasts long. Amy arrives and trouble follows. As Javi finishes his story, Amy walks into the plaza, her expression tight and eyes shadowed by determination. It's been a difficult few weeks for her. The loss of her daughter Sophia still hangs heavy on her heart, and the complicated issue of baby Tesoro's adoption has kept her awake night after night. She greets Javi and Leo politely, even warmly at first. There's genuine gratitude in her voice as she thanks them for caring for her grandson, though there's a slight edge, a reminder that she still struggles with their unconventional relationship. "I know you both mean well," she says, smiling faintly, "and I can see he's loved. That's what matters most." Her voice trembles when she asks to hold the baby. Javi hesitates, but his kind heart gets the better of him. "Of course," he says, gently lifting Tesoro from the stroller and placing him in her arms. The change in Amy is immediate. Her stern posture softens, her eyes fill with tears, and for a fleeting moment, she's not the judgmental, outspoken woman the town has come to know. She's simply a grandmother holding her grandson, feeling his warmth and imagining the daughter she lost. From tenderness to tension. But then, one small comment changes everything. Javi, trying to make conversation, casually mentions Johnny and Chanel, the couple who have been helping with Tesoro's care and who, many believe, could offer the baby a loving, stable home. Amy's expression hardens instantly. Her voice drops low, trembling with emotion. "Those two will raise my nephew over my dead body," she says firmly. "That is not what Sophia would have wanted. And it's not what God wants either." The plaza seems to fall silent. Even Leo, who usually deflects tension with humor, has no words. Javi starts to respond, perhaps to calm her or at least reason with her. But Amy isn't finished. She clutches the baby closer and declares, "Sophia can't speak for herself anymore. So I will. I have to. I'm her mother. It's my duty to make sure her son is raised right, in faith and in truth." When she finally hands Tesoro back to Javi, there's a finality in her gesture. She turns and walks away, her head held high, leaving Leo and Javi stunned and worried. They both know Amy's words aren't idle threats. Salem has seen this kind of determination before, and it usually ends in heartbreak. Xander's apology falls flat. Meanwhile, across town, another heartbreak is unfolding, one that has been years in the making. Sarah Horton, who has stood by Xander through more betrayals and half-truths than most people could endure, has finally reached her breaking point. The tension between them has been growing ever since the adoption troubles began. Amy's interference, Xander's impulsive decisions, and the endless secrets have all taken their toll. Today, Xander finally tries to make things right. He shows up at their home, remorse written all over his face. His apology is halting but heartfelt. He admits his mistakes, tells her he loves her, and promises that this time will be different. But Sarah has heard those words too many times. Her eyes glisten with tears, but her voice is calm, almost too calm. "You keep saying you're sorry, Xander," she says quietly. "But sorry doesn't fix the damage. It doesn't undo the lies. It doesn't make me trust you again." When he reaches for her hand, she steps back. The distance between them feels wider than ever. "I can't do this anymore," she whispers. "This marriage, it's over. For good this time." There's no screaming, no dramatic exit, just a quiet, painful truth. Xander's face crumples as he realizes he's lost her. Not because of one big betrayal, but because of all the little ones that came before. The calm before the next storm. As the day ends in Salem, the Halloween lights twinkle across the square, masking the heartbreak that's quietly spreading through the town. Amy walks alone under the orange glow of the decorations, clutching a small photo of Sophia and vowing to protect her grandson, no matter what it costs. Leo and Javi sit in silence, wondering what Amy's next move will be. And somewhere in the distance, Sarah closes the door behind her, shutting Xander out of her life, perhaps forever. In Salem, love and loss walk hand in hand, and on this Halloween weekend, both seem to be haunting everyone who dares to hope for peace.